So right here is the headlight switch. Just grab it right here on the side and you're gonna pull it straight back at you. Back in the hole, you're gonna see that green CAN bus bar. Just reach back up in here, lift straight up, and then you can pull this out. Now that we have two of our connections exposed right here, the third one that we need to get to is right here behind the button. And what you're gonna do is just grab it right here and pull straight back, and just gonna pop this plastic dash panel loose. And once you have this down, you're basically just going to reach up in here and unplug the button. There is not enough slack to pull the cable back down here, but I have it unplugged. So once you guys have our wire harness in the truck, cut the zip ties or the tape that's on it, you're gonna see some pigtails here. On the Ram, the yellow one is not used. So go ahead and simply snip the yellow one and get it out of the way. The purple pigtail, we are gonna hook up underneath the dash here. I always do that last. Up here by the relay, you're going to see a white black on your harness, a loop. Check the install guide to find out if you guys need to cut this or not. But on Ram, you do just simply cut this in half. And basically what I'm gonna do is just cut it more flush to the harness and then put like a little piece of tape around here. Once you have the data connector plugged in to the main harness, you're gonna notice that it's a really long pigtail here. On the Ram, you're only going to use one set of the connectors. The green and brown do not get used. Do not plug them into each other. Just leave them, tape them back or zip tie them, whatever. But you're going to use the connectors that have the blue and pink only. On the Jeeps, it needs to go over behind the glove box. On the Ram, it simply goes right here at this little guy. So everything is right here on the driver's side. So the first thing we're gonna do is the CAN junction block right here. You guys will have it positioned like this. Next to the 3-pin, you're gonna have one that has a yellow and a brown white wire. This is the connector that we need. These are really, really silly connectors because that tab right there that you can depress doesn't always release the latch. So I find it easiest just to kind of come right here in the side with a little pick tool. You can simply push in, lift up, and it'll slide right out every time. So as I mentioned earlier, you're going to use the connectors with the blue and pink wires. So simply plug the white one into our mating connector, and then the other side is going to go right back into this green block, and this connection is done. The next connection we'll do is right here at the headlight switch. You simply just press down and you can unplug that. On our headlight harness, there are a couple different connectors. You're going to use the ones that mate to your vehicle. So obviously on the Ram truck, it plugs into the square one. The rectangle one that has 6 wires in it, just let it hang. Do not plug them in together. And then take the other end of our harness and plug it straight back into the actual headlight switch. And this is what it looks like. And we are done with the CAN junction and we are done with the headlight switch. Just a quick tip for you guys, I mount the module right back in here behind the headlight switch, only because this thing pops right off and goes right back on super easy. So what I do is make this kind of like my home run for the wiring. So I'm gonna take the push button harness and we're just gonna route it right over here behind the metal brace, and we can bring it out underneath the steering wheel like this. So the OEM connector that you're going to unplug from the push button that's up on the dash is orientated like this. So the tab is on the bottom. So this is how it is up behind the dash when you reach up in there to unplug it. So you're basically just gonna press this tab in on the bottom of the connector and pull it straight back, and it will come out of the button. This goes back in the same way, and then obviously the OEM connector is only going to fit into our harness one way, so you'll just kind of plug it in like this. So I'm going to position the camera over here and kind of show you guys what's going on. So I already have the harness undone from the button. I'm basically just going to plug it into our harness first, which we just did, and then the one that goes back up into the button, we'll go ahead and plug that in, and you'll hear it click. So there we go. And now we have one more wire to hook up underneath the dash, and let's get to it. So we have the button harness installed. We can go ahead and pop this back up into place. One thing I'll tell you guys, this bottom tab right here, you might have to push it down to get it to line back up to the hole. So don't force your dash, just simply give it a little push down like that, and now everything will guide right back into place. What you're going to do is strip back some insulation, as you can see from the purple wire, so we have exposed wire. And you're going to take the spade and slide it down on the wire and crimp it down. As you can see, I've already crimped it. Give it a tug test. Make sure it's not going to come loose. If this wire has a poor connection or is not connected to the right wire, you guys will not be able to program the module and it will not work. We're going to go ahead and drop this wire down through the access hole here, and then we're going to grab it right here underneath the dash. All right, so underneath the dash, this is the driver kick panel, so your left foot's going to be against this, and you're going to notice the BCM right above it. This big connector right here with a heavy gauge wire, we need to just kind of pull this out and get it out of our way, and you guys can use some pliers or whatever, but it just pops in right here, and we can pop it back on when we're done. So pull this out of the way. Connector right above it is the one that we need to tap a wire onto. The easiest way to get this out is just to reach up around here. You're going to feel a tab on top of the gray section. Push the tab in, lift the gray section up. It will release the entire connector and you can pull it straight back and then down. So now you have adequate room to work here. So if you guys have this connector positioned like this, you'll notice on the gray section here, you're going to have a brown on the outside, a yellow as the next wire in, and then the third wire in is the brown wire with a black stripe. That you can see. That is the wire that we need to tap with our purple black wire that we brought down here under the dash. So once you guys have the brown black wire located, pull a little bit out. You can cut some of this tape out, but it's not really necessary. You're just gonna take our little spade, you're gonna stick it around the wire like so. You're gonna fold it over and then take a pair of pliers and just squeeze it down so it pinches the wire. And it's basically just gonna look something like this. So the metal in there pinches the wire. You take the purple wire that you dropped below the dash and you simply plug it in like so. And that is the only connection in this whole truck that you need to make. And you still only need a pair of pliers to complete the entire install. So now what you're gonna do is just go ahead and massage this back up into place. You're gonna line it up in the BCM and fold that gray hinge back down towards you. Make sure it's secure. You're gonna pop this back in to the mounting tab right here. And then route this purple wire over, zip tie it to the wire right here so this is not hanging down. And then we're gonna program the module. So we're gonna go ahead and refer you guys to the installation guide for the programming process. It is freaking super easy. I'm not gonna show it in the video for the pure fact that firmware does change, which also changes programming sometimes. So if I show you programming now and somebody buys this kit 6 months down the road and programming doesn't match up, people get flustered and frustrated, and we just always have the most up-to-date programming on the install guide. So up to this point, you guys are gonna plug the module in, we're gonna program it, you're gonna unplug it, you're gonna plug the drive time cap back in, you're gonna send the module back to us, and then we will do the stage 2 programming. And when you get it back, you simply turn ignition on, wait for the green light, put your car back together, and you are good to go. So we got the 19 Ram all wrapped up. We're gonna give you guys a quick demo on the OEM key fob. You're simply going to hit the lock button 3 times. So there's 1, 2, 3. Give it a few seconds and she'll fire up. The parking lights will flash a couple times to indicate remote start is active, and then parking lights front and rear will come on solid for the duration of the runtime. One thing to note is it has a 45-second window for secure takeover. So when you guys hit the unlock button on the key, we now have 45 seconds to jump in and drive away. If you guys exceed 45 seconds, the truck's gonna die when you get in here and hit the brake pedal. So obviously we're within the 45 seconds. You'll see that our ignition is already on, and as long as you guys have a key, you can simply press the brake, put it in drive, and away we go.